Okay, so you've probably seen all those sci-fi movies, right? The giant glass domes on Mars, these massive rockets hauling entire cities across space. Well, forget all that. Today, we're diving into something completely different, a radical new blueprint called the Unified Mars Plan. It's a proposal that totally flips the script on how we think about colonizing Mars. It argues for a way that's, well, smarter, simpler, and a whole lot safer. So how's it going to work? It all starts by tackling the biggest question of all. I mean, this is the ultimate question for us, right? How do you build a home on a world that is, actively trying to kill you? Think about it. You've got intense radiation, toxic dust everywhere, nights that are just unbelievably cold. I mean, solving this, it's got to be one of the greatest engineering challenges we could ever face. So, for decades, the answer has pretty much been the same. It's what this plan calls the old way. And honestly, it's just brute force. We're talking about launching these massive, super heavy structures, the classic domes, at an absolutely incredible cost. And the problem is, they're not just expensive, they're complex. One little thing goes wrong, and the whole system could fail. But this new idea, it suggests a totally different path, something smart and simple. Instead of shipping a finished building, you ship flat kits. And instead of a heavy dome, you grow a lightweight, expandable ring. And that right there, that's the core concept, the flat pack solution. The whole philosophy is baked right into the name. Ship flat, land small, grow a ring. Seriously, you can just think of it like the ultimate IKEA project, but you're building a home on another planet. It's all about prioritizing elegance and efficiency instead of just, brute force. This quote right here, this is basically the DNA of the entire plan. It's the mantra. You've got those key phrases again. Ship flat kits, land small, and grow a ring, not a dome. But here's the really crucial part. It's not about taking some single massive, risky leap. No way. It's about proving every single piece of the puzzle works, first here on Earth and then in orbit, before you even think about touching down on the Martian surface. Okay, so the big question is, how do you protect yourself if you don't have a giant, heavy dome? Well, you start with the first layer of defense, what the plan calls surviving with smart skins. This is basically your personal shield against that incredibly harsh Martian environment. Now, what's so cool about this is that the shield isn't just one single thing. It's a whole series of thin, smart layers working together. You've got the sky sheet to handle the glare and UV. Then, get this, the star shield. It's basically a thin, invisible force field, a plasma curtain that deflects harmful space radiation. So cool. Then there's an electrostatic mesh that uses static to literally push away that nasty, dangerous dust. And, for when things inevitably go wrong, simple peel and seal patch kits for super fast repairs. The whole thing is designed to be flexible, lightweight, and really resilient. And speaking of that dust, let's talk about the air you're actually breathing. This number, more than 50%, is huge. That's the target for cutting down on the most dangerous fine dust particles, the tiny PM 2.5 stuff that can get deep in your lungs, inside the habitat. And they plan to do it with a specialized filter called the Unified Multi-Cell Cartridge, or UMC for short. And this table, this just brilliantly illustrates the plan's core methodology. It's not just a bunch of cool ideas. It's a series of concrete actions with measurable targets. Do this, measure this. That's the whole game. You don't just cross your fingers and hope the air is clean. Nope, you install the UMC, and you measure that the PM 2.5 drops by more than half. You use a special airlock, and you measure to make sure the dust count is below the limit before that inner door ever opens. Every single system is held to a strict, provable standard. All right, so you're protected from everything outside. Awesome. But how do you actually stay alive inside the habitat? Well, that's where the next huge piece of this puzzle comes in, the living engine. This is the system that's going to feed and power the entire base. And this is another one of those game-changing ideas. For so long, we thought about planetary protection as, keeping our Earth germs off Mars. This plan says, hey, let's bring the right microbes with us, but let's keep them totally contained and put them to work. The microbiome isn't a contaminant. It becomes a tool, a literal engine for growth, all safely sealed up inside the habitat walls. So what does this living engine actually do? Well, take a look. It's an absolute biological powerhouse. We're talking about polishing water, handling gases, providing nutritional support, but it's not just about basic survival. It also produces practical materials, like binder gels you could use to patch the outer skins. And it can even process local Martian minerals. It's basically the habitat's life support system and its workshop, all rolled into one. Okay, now I know what you're probably thinking. Is this safe? And the plan makes it crystal clear. Safety is the absolute #1 priority. This biofarm isn't just some tank, it's a fortress. You've got double-walled containment. You've got what's called N+2 redundancy, which is just a fancy way of saying there are at least 3 of everything for every critical function. There are engineered kill switches, a completely separate ventilation loop. This is not some wild experiment. It's a totally contained, audited biological factory. Of course, none of this works without power, right? So here's another one of those hard engineering targets. The plan calls for these advanced, flexible power sheets that have to be able to harvest more than 240 watts of energy for every single square meter during the Martian day. But what happens during that long, freezing Martian night? The solution here is just beautifully practical. There's no exotic, unproven technology. The backbone of the power system is just cold-rated lithium-ion batteries, but they're packaged into these hot-swappable energy cartridges. So if a battery starts to degrade, you don't have to rewire the whole station. You literally just pop it out and swap in a new one. It's all designed for reliability and super easy maintenance. So we've got the tech, we've got the plan for the habitat, but how do we actually do it? How do we get there? This, for me, is where the plan's philosophy really shines. It's not about taking one giant, risky leap. It's about following a humble, testable path, proving that everything works, one careful step at a time. And this timeline really shows that cautious approach in action. Look at this. Phase 0 is a full year of just testing everything here on Earth. Then you move into orbit for Phase 1. It's only after all of that that you build a full-scale replica camp back here on Earth to test the whole shebang. So by the time you actually get to Phase 3, the landing on Mars, you're not just hoping it all works, you have years and years of data proving that it does. Now we get to what might be the most innovative and honestly my favorite part of this entire plan. And it's not a piece of hardware, it's a system for learning. It's called the Living Folio Protocol. Basically, it's a shared notebook, both physical and digital, that lets the crew document everything, learn from their mistakes, and work together to improve how the habitat actually functions. It literally turns the crew into a key part of the system's evolution. And a huge part of that learning system is this idea of fail loud cues. The goal is to make invisible problems completely impossible to ignore. And this is just a perfect example. Imagine a patch adhesive that literally changes color the moment its integrity is compromised. You don't need a complicated sensor or a blaring alarm. You can just see with your own eyes that something's wrong. It's so simple, and it's absolutely brilliant. So when you put it all together, the plan basically gives the crew this whole toolbox of human-centric learning tools. You've got the Living Folio for sharing knowledge. You've got dashboards that show you trends over time, not just blinking red lights. You have those awesome fail loud cues to make problems obvious. And they even have these short mini stories to rehearse emergencies, like, okay, what do we do if a dust storm hits in the middle of the night? The result is that the crew gets smarter and the system gets safer every single day. So really, you can boil this entire incredible plan down to a super elegant core philosophy in just 4 simple steps. Step 1, ship flat. Step 2, land small. Step 3, grow your capability piece by piece, test by test. And step 4, the most important one, keep people safe through it all. And that leaves us with a final, really provocative thought. Maybe that image of humanity on Mars that we've all had in our heads for so long, that giant, fragile glass dome, maybe that's just wrong. Maybe the future is something a little more modest, a lot more resilient, and way more organic. Not one single grand statement, but a humble, ever-growing ring,